Dr. Igbuzor, I want to give you a chance to respond.
Well, my argument has been very straightforward, and that is there is institutional tyranny. Institutions in this country, and I gave examples from executive, I give examples from legislature, I give examples from judiciary, are working in ways that they don't respect their own rules.
Yeah, but Dr. Igbuzor,
and that,
also to you, sorry to interrupt your thoughts there, also to you, we have seen attempts, because of how some of these things have been done, we've seen attempts for these issues to be self-corrected. So, for instance, in the case of electoral matters, we've seen electoral reforms.
Yes.
We've seen the reforms whereby...
That's the point I'm going to go to.
You know, matters are now being sped up because people realize that if this continues, the chances that people will resort to violence is quite high.
God bless you.
In almost all the instances where members have been, according to Mr. Anene, wrongly or rightly suspended, we haven't seen any member resort to self-help. We haven't seen any member come and say we're going to desecrate the institution because we think we were wronged. What we have seen is all of them going to court, regardless of how slowly that wheel is grinding. Can we really justify what happened last week, Wednesday?
Clearly, Mapwe, we cannot justify thugs going to the National Assembly. I agree. We are not in a disagreement on that issue, clearly. But the point I'm making is that when issues like this arise in a nation, that is the time to reflect.
Have we seen an all-round condemnation? Because one by now would have thought that when a thing of the sort happens, because Mr. Anene raised a very valid point. He said, what if those people were armed and they went into the National Assembly and killed the senators there or injured them fatally?
I've been following the discussions. I've not seen anybody that has commended the toss going to the National Assembly.
But have we seen the sort of condemnation that we ought to see, the sort of action that we ought to see in the wake of such a desecration, if I may use that word?
Institutional tyranny that I've talked about. Institutions everywhere are not able to do what they are expected to do to ensure justice, to ensure fair play, and to ensure equity. And my point is very clear. You see, this institutional tyranny has made people not to even have confidence in the institution. Otherwise, everywhere in the world, when such a thing happens, you allow the police to investigate, to establish what has happened. And based on that, all those who perpetrated it are punished. But what we see is that we leave the root causes. We focus on the symptoms. We go legalistic. And then, what happens? Next time, it happens again.
But, you know, Dr. Igbuzor, in your earlier analysis, there was a bit of a challenge there because, you know, you were looking at the issue of what happened with the mace theft, and you were saying that, look, there hasn't been a link made officially between the senator...
By the security agencies.
That's right.
Yeah.
Now, the question comes back to this. If the security agencies happen to, and this is an if, if the security agencies happen to be aligned with those that are sympathetic to the suspended senator, why would no, this is a real, this is a real issue. Because if that is the case, we have not heard anything. Why is it that, for example, after all of this time, we've seen the return of the mace, we've not heard anything from any institution regarding the individuals that were involved, or whether or not they were linked to the senator? Is that not troubling to you based on the visual evidence we have?
This is the issue I'm raising. In a democracy, recently, you see, Jacob Zuma was made to resign as president. Do you know which people investigated him? The police, FIRS. Why should security agency be aligned? This is my point. Security agency cannot be aligned. And I'm saying that all of these things we are doing the symptoms. Until we have a security agency that is non-partisan, non-partial, we have judiciary that does its work, we have executive that implement the laws that have been passed by the National Assembly, and we have National Assembly that respects its own laws, we will continue seeing this. This is my view, Ngulari.
Let's quickly go to Lagos now and take a question from Chamberlain.
Dr. Igbuzor, I've got a question for you about this, talking about the rules. I've got in my hands the Legislative Powers and Privileges Act of 1957, as it was amended, recently signed into law in January 2018. It reads in Section 21, when it's got to do with the conduct of members. 21 says, contempt of a legislative house by members. B says, I beg your pardon, 1, Section 21, subsection 1 reads, any member of a legislative house who, B, assaults or obstructs a member of the legislative house within the chamber or precincts of the house, C, assaults or obstructs any officer of the legislative house while executing his duty, then shall be guilty of contempt of the legislative house. Section 2 then says, where any member is guilty of contempt of a legislative house, the house may, by resolution, reprimand such member or suspend him from service of the house for such period as it may determine. I didn't see anywhere where it talked about the 14 days you spoke about. But it goes on to Section 22 and says, under suspended member excluded from chamber, if I could paraphrase, it says, look, if a member is suspended and he comes to the house may forcibly remove such a member from the house. Isn't this part of the rule that they seem to be executing?
Chamberlain, there is clearly a section that talks about suspension for 14 days. I don't remember the actual section now. But if you look at the sections you've read, there are conditions for suspending someone. It does not include having a differing opinion or belonging to a group. Clearly, is a senator obstructing and doing something which is defined as contempt. In this matter we're talking about, I don't think that those conditions you've given there can be described as contempt. My point, and it's straightforward, is that for us to build this democracy, we must follow the rules. We must follow the rules. The executive must respect the laws that has been made. The legislature must respect its own rules. And the judiciary must also respect its rules. From where you have read, I agree with you, but it does not fall under the situation for suspension that we are discussing today.
Well, the members are saying that this is the rule that they are sticking by, and that if he has been so suspended, they have followed their rules, and this is the rules that they say they are abiding by, that if they've decided that he's suspended, and this is the process.
The rules they gave, the reason they gave us publicly is that because he belonged to a parliamentary support group, because he made a differing opinion,